Producer Zavi, a 10 hut! Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. I hope it is good, and Private Elias does as well. Welcome to the Geeks Who Like Sports, and happy Halloween! Hi, everybody. I'm Ray Carsillo. That is Lee Elias, the best for the entire world. I am in beautiful Los Angeles, California. Lee is on the road in Idaho, surrounded by potatoes. Lee, how you doing today, buddy?
I'm a little upset that private is the rank that you've given me. I've known you for 20 years, and I've only aspired to be private.
You have outranked me our entire lives. Okay, let me have a higher rank on Halloween. Okay.
I'll
private
okay.
First class. Do you feel better?
No, not at all. But I will give you that justification for today and this show, and I hope that this show goes so viral that you have to be in character for the rest of the lifetime of this show. That would be so wonderful.
He's just a Sergeant Slaughter impersonator. That's
the whole time. I mean, you look just like him. For those of you listening to this, you need to find a clip of this show. Ray looks exactly like him. Look at that scalp.
I grew the mustache and everything. For those of you who've been watching the show, I had a full beard. And I explained this, I think, a couple of times. I grew the full beard because I worried how I'd look with just the mustache. And I look great as Sergeant Slaughter, although I've also been called Farva. I've also been called Major Payne.
Yes.
I've
also been called you look like Farva.
Yeah.
You can see that's on right now.
A generic, just a generic narc. So I've been called a few different things this weekend.
Generic narc. You look like my best friend. This is what my best friend looks like on any given day. Ray, I hope you just walk around town like this moving forward.
Today I will be. Today I can't. Yeah. Unfortunately, I'm going to be bouncing from place to place. Got a lot of stuff. Got a lot of things to do before my theater group Halloween party tonight.
I'm dressed up as an overtired traveling father of two on the western side of the United States today, and I nailed it.
That's right. You're in my time zone now.
I'm in mountain time. I'm at mountain time. It's 10 o'clock here. It's 9 o'clock there. Oh. Okay. You can't do Sergeant Slaughter after 10 in mountain time.
I guess that's fair. So, yeah, no, it's all right. So what brings you to Idaho, by the way? It brings you to the land of potatoes.
Well, Ray, I braved the 8-hour travel plan across the United States to Phoenix, and then took a pond hopper plane that was not as tall as I am up here because I'm speaking at Boise State on Wednesday afternoon at a leadership summit. Yes.
Nice. Congratulations, buddy.
Blue football fields and team building tips with Lee Elias at Boise State this Wednesday, October 30th.
Amazing. Do they need another speaker? Sergeant Slaughter knows something I think to do about leadership.
So I'm going to let this out right now. I'll tease it because we'll have some video. Speaking of just wrestling get-ups, all I'm going to say to you, and our producer Savi and Caitlin knows this, they said that I could walk up to any song I want. So nice. I saw this as an opportunity, and all I will tell you is that I have a championship belt, a fully customized, full-out championship belt with me. The song has been chosen, and it will be documented. And I'm going to say this with respect. Do not care if anybody likes it or dislikes it, because I've been wanting to do this walkout for my entire life, and it is in line with what you are doing now. That is all I will say.
Cannot wait.
This is going to be professional geeks.
Is it Hulk Hogan's "I'm a Real American"?
No, I thought about doing that, but that's with the political landscape and the election coming up. I thought that was a little too hot.
Yeah, absolutely.
And no, this is more.
Is it Bret Hart, the best there is, the best there was, the best there ever will be?
Not close enough for Canada. I had to pick someone that you'd probably know either way. You know what I mean? Like, even if you didn't watch wrestling. So,
Mr. Perfect?
No, I do that daily when I wake up. No, this is something different. So I don't want to ruin it. I'm just going to say that I have it all planned out. I've been practicing the walkout, and nice. All that matters is that the person with the camera captures it perfectly so that I have the shot that I need. But there's a little teaser for next week. We'll share that. Maybe if we get the video, we'll play it on the episode, Ray. I'll make you proud.
I'm sure you will, Lee. I'm sure you will.
Yes.
So, excellent.
Anyway, Idaho. Yes, I'm in Idaho. I'm looking at a beautiful fall landscape in front of me. It's very beautiful here. It's nice and cold. Love it. Drink coffee.
It is. Let's see. What is the weather report here in LA? Today it's actually going to be 72 as well, actually.
72? That's perfect.
Yeah. Yeah, last week it was 92.
Yeah, that's
92.
not good at all for anybody.
No, still 92. But today it's actually things if I think we finally have reached
It's
official fall weather here.
It's 45 up here, buddy.
No, I don't think.
I love it.
It reached 45 the entire rest of the year here in LA, unless it's like the middle of the night. Maybe
54 today, but no, no, LA doesn't do the 50s. Come on.
No, not during the day. Not during the day. At night it can get a little cool, but not during the day. Before we go on, first of all, we have a great show for you folks.
We do.
A lot of football talk. We got a lot of stuff to talk about with Agatha. We got a little other sports news as well. But I also want to very quickly, I want to shout out my friends Tom Pinchuk and also Patrick McAvoy. You can see it here. I'm going to move the camera just a little bit. If you're watching on TV, they made a old-timey broadcasting picture of yours truly. And that's now my profile picture, at least for the foreseeable future. I want to really thank them for that. That was a gift. That was a gift. They just reached out and was like, and I was like, old-timey broadcaster. They're like, what are you? I'm like, I'm old-timey broadcaster, man at a time. And they made a very, very beautiful sepia tone drawing there with me with the old-timey hat and the microphone that says Geeks Who Like Sports.
I love that the Geeks logo is on there, yeah. And you're at Yankee Stadium there.
Probably.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Yankees.
Yeah.
That's old. Yeah, that's old Yankee State. That's old.
Ray, I should let the listeners know that the only reason I ever got to go to Old Yankee Stadium was because of you. You took me to a game in the final years, and I am so happy that you did that because that is a place lost in time. If you've never visited the Troughs, you know what I'm talking about. It's an experience. So I was so glad I got to see, I think, a couple games there with you, right? And before going to the new,
I know for sure we went and saw the Yankees and White Sox. The Yankees won, and it was just a good time.
That was 20 years ago.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. People might not realize this, but I'm not actually a toxic baseball fan. I'm just a really big baseball fan.
Depends where you're at.
Depends.
Yeah, it depends where you're at and who you're rooting for.
That's true. Although we always have a good time. Had a good time when it was Yankees-Phillies.
Yeah. No. Phillies fans had enough of you, which is tough to do. But again, as I've said many times, Yankee fans can say pretty much whatever they want to say because you have 27 world titles. At that time, you only had 26, but that's okay.
Yeah, but at this rate, we're not going to get 28 this year. That's for sure.
Well, let's dive into that. I wouldn't jump the gun too fast on that. It's not looking great
until it's over.
Yeah, I believe in that. I'm not ready to knock out the Yankees. Obviously, the Dodgers have a 2-0 lead in that series. The Yankees completely threw away the first game. We'll talk about that in a second.
Because Aaron is the worst manager of all time. They win despite him, not because of him.
This is one of the dumbest. That was one of the dumbest pitching moves I have ever seen, but not the first time we've seen it, Ray. And then the second game, they pulled to Philadelphia and made you have some hope there at the end of the game. But I'm not going to.
One big hit away.
Yeah, I'm not counting the Yankees out till after you've played at Yankee Stadium. I can't in good conscience do that.
I will say this: if the Yankees lose any of the games at Yankee Stadium, the series is over.
Yeah, I would agree.
Even if they take 2 or 3 at Yankee Stadium and go back to LA down 3-2, it is over. The Dodgers will win. If the Yankees, however, sweep all 3 games at Yankee Stadium, entirely possible. Game 3 is tonight. We're recording a little early this week, by the way, folks. It's October the 28th.
Our producer will have this out before the game. Don't worry, I know him.
Right. If the Yankees sweep all 3 games at Yankee Stadium and then go back to LA up 3-2, whole different story. You don't know what's going to happen. I would still pick the Yankees in 7 at that point, but they got to win the 3 games at home. They got Clark Schmidt on the mound tonight, Walker Buehler for the Dodgers. What Walker Buehler is going to show up? Who knows? We'll see. Game time, 8:08 tonight, which, by the way, also I want to say this. I get that he is the national broadcaster for Fox now. But Joe Davis is also the home game announcer he's also the Dodgers home announcer. I feel there's a little bit of bias there in that booth because you have the biggest, obviously, Dodger homer and then the biggest anti-Yankee guy ever in John Smoltz because we beat him twice in the World Series. I demand a better broadcast team for the World Series than these two schmucks.
All right. Listen, buddy. Sorry. You don't get that. You don't get to complain about that. This is what happens, Ray. The evil empire has shifted to the Los Angeles Dodgers. And now you're just like the rest of us when it comes to this biasy. Because back in the late 90s and 2000s, buddy, it was all Yankees all the time. This is what it's like. You're limited.
It was never our broadcast.
It didn't matter because it's up to you, New York, New York. That was off key. Don't quote me on that. Listen to me. I understand what you're saying. Welcome to the human condition. This is what it's been like for the rest of us for years. Deal with it. Suck it up. Feel the pain. Win your games and try and take out the evil empire. Because that's what's happening here. The Dodgers have replaced the Yankees in that moniker. And there's no doubt about it, from their star players who they bought to the team that they bought to the owners that are rich, right? And then the Yankees somehow are this homegrown team that are struggling right now. Well, this is an amazing series story.
They even put up the graphic that more than half the Dodgers roster was acquired by free agents, whereas the vast majority of the Yankee roster was either homegrown or acquired via trade from trading homegrown players.
Right.
So the only free agents that the Yankees really have are basically Cole and Rodon at the top of their rotation. Everybody else was either acquired via trade or and whatnot. Like you look at Jazz Chisholm, you look at Volpe, homegrown, Gleyber Torres, homegrown.
Homegrown built team. It is not the evil empire that it once was. Now, with that said, let's just quickly go over these games. I mean, we talked about this, I think, a couple years ago about pulling pitchers in a World Series environment because of the pitch count.
Yep.
It is the dumbest thing
Cole
ever.
Too
so
early.
Stupid. Way too early. What was he in the 80s? He was in the 80s in pitch count?
88 pitches. He was at 88 pitches. Could have won another inning.
Could have won the whole game, Ray. It's the World Series.
Well, I mean, honestly, yeah. But, like, you could have built the bridge to Weaver a lot easier. And this is something that I've been talking about all year. This is typical of an Aaron Boone team. This is a team that lacks fundamentals. Soto makes a play in right. He throws it into second base. Shohei's got a double. Look, Shohei's going to have a double. People are like, oh, well, Soto bobbled it. Not a big deal. So Shohei was going to get the second no matter what.
He's the best baseball player in the world. Yeah.
Right. But when Soto throws it in and Gleyber Torres can't handle the hop, and then he just kind of watches it roll away from him, and then Shohei takes the extra 90 feet in order to get the third, and then obviously eventually scores the tying run, you can't make that play in the World Series. You shouldn't make that play in May.
No,
that's maybe a spring training play. But, like, again, this is a team that doesn't have great fundamentals, and that is on the manager. That's not on the general manager. That's on the manager. That's the stuff that should be worked out in spring training. And here we are, the biggest game of the year, and you're still making boneheaded plays, which is why I've said it again, and I've said it before, and I've said it again. Gleyber Torres will not be a Yankee next year. I don't care how nice of a playoffs he's had. I don't care. Bye-bye.
No, I'm going to say this too.
Dumb players shouldn't be playing in New York. Bye-bye.
From a coaching standpoint, I do want to touch base on this Garrett Cole situation because, and look, I'm not a Major League Baseball manager, but I am a coach, and I have made decisions like, gut decisions before, and that are not based on numbers. And Ray, I typically will only make those decisions in a playoff environment, right? Like during the regular season, the numbers are good. They help you. You got a long season. You got to make sure that you're making good moves. But when you get to a playoff or championship mode, as a manager, you got to go with your gut. I'll give you a great example. I was coaching an international tournament. I had a guy on the bench who played no shifts that night, and we're in the third period. And I was just kind of looking. I felt something. Something said to me, you probably should put him on the ice. So I crafted a line. I put him on the ice. Guess who got the game-winning goal?
Yep.
Right? And this is a little bit of the opposite situation. But when I got a hot player, a thoroughbred that's feeling it, you let them play the game. I've never understood the numbers game in a championship environment. Why would you pull your ace in that situation? And you can see he didn't want to come out. Like there was surprise on his face of what are you doing, man? And then even it was a Jeter came out. He's like, man, we had guys pitching 140 pitches in the World Series. Yep. He's got one game left. The guy's got one game left this season.
He can rest in 2 weeks. He can rest for 6 months.
Stupid. And you have a travel day in there.
And again, I said this before, and I said this earlier in the playoffs. Aaron Boone keeps managing the playoffs like it's the regular season. It is one of his greatest flaws.
It's stupid.
He's like it's just every game is like any other game, and it's like, no, it's not.
Yeah,
it's
well,
not.
they're gonna say, well, he's at the World Series, right? I'm like, well, sure, but you know what? I'll tell you what.
They win despite him, not because of him.
I'm gonna say this too, Ray, that people might say, oh yeah, well, this is a hindsight conversation. You and I have been saying this for years.
I've been saying this for 6 years with this buffoon.
Years. All right, and I'm gonna say it again. The numbers make sense in the regular season. You have got to go with your gut in the playoffs. And you know what? You know who did go with their gut? The LA Dodgers.
Dave Roberts and the Dodgers, yep.
And they got a magical moment out of it. All right? And it's like that's how it happens. And again, you could say, look, they were 1 out away, whatever. You know, Nestor messed up. No, this game was, in my opinion, lost on fundamental mistakes that you cannot make in the World Series and poor management.
Yeah.
All right? And then in game two, the Dodgers were just the better team. And again, the Yankees, I give them credit for fighting back in the bottom of the ninth. Sure. But you should never have been there either.
No, it should never have gotten to that situation. And again, and this is what I've also said, is that it's playing, well, I want to break up the righties and lefties in the rotation. I don't care about that stuff. Again, I don't care. Your second best starter is going game 4.
Yeah.
For no reason. Luis Gil has been your second best starter this year, not Carlos Rodon, not the guy who has a 4 ERA.
Gave up 4 runs.
And gave up 4 runs. Yes, the offense has to play better. Aaron Judge is in a bad slump. Anthony Vogt, but that happens. Guys are in slumps. Well, it's not easy.
Looking forward here, and this is why I'm not ready to write the Yankees off at all. Obviously, home field advantage here is massive. There's very few teams. There's very few teams where I could say that that's a real advantage, but the Yankees are one of them.
Yes.
2 is that we don't know what's going to happen with Ohtani now. We don't know if he's hurt.
It sounds like he's going to be okay. Dave Roberts said he will play tonight.
I'm sure it sounds like he's going to be okay. I'm saying to you, I don't think that guy's okay. If he popped his shoulder out, he'll play, and he'll still be great because he's Ohtani. But this is a big, big thing now. Okay, if he's not at 100% and your thoroughbred wakes up, that could change the series pretty quickly. All right, and what I'm hoping for is that I'm hoping Judge does wake up, and we do get this to a 6 or 7 game series. Yeah,
and I will say this, and that was probably the one mistake that if the Dodgers made one mistake in these first 2 games, it was that. And I get that Shohei's like, well, I stole 59 out of 63 bases in the regular season. He did not need to steal. He did not need to steal that base in that moment, and it's a sin that it happened.
It's
a shame. Nobody's rooting for it, but it's one of those things where it's like he didn't need to be stealing that base there.
No, it was dumb. I was watching like, what are you doing?
Yeah, and it's just one of those things. And then he got caught for it in more ways than one, literally and figuratively.
It was just a slide. Like nobody touched him or anything.
Yeah, no, it was just a weird slide. He just had a bad slide. And again, for a guy who has attended 63 steals on the year, you would think he'd know how to slide at this point, but he just slid funny. And
I'm just going to say it again. This series has been magical, but the baseball has just been okay. I'm very interested to see what happens here these next 3 games. And I'm going to disagree with you. I think if the Yankees can at least get 2, they obviously have to get that. But I'm saying that I think 2, you're still in this thing. Obviously, you're not winning it in the Bronx, so like that's set in.
No matter what, that's out the window. That's gone. I didn't think we were winning in the Bronx anyway, but
that's my point though. Is like that's done now. You can put it away, right? So that's out of the brain.
The margin for error is slim to none at this point, and it needs to be said. It needs to be said. You mentioned the moment earlier, right? You mentioned following your gut.
Yeah.
There's also sometimes when you try to force a moment.
Yeah.
And that's what also Boone tried to do in game 1, where you have your best left-handed reliever in Tim Hill ready to go. Ready to go. He's warmed up. And you go to the guy who hasn't pitched in a month.
So dumb.
Because you're like, I thought it would be like I thought it was been good.
It was so dumb. If you were up by 4 or 5 runs
Absolutely. Go ahead. Give
100%.
Nestor some work. Yeah, let Nestor get some work.
What?
Absolutely.
What were you thinking doing that? And you can't blame Nestor for this. It's a guy, he threw it right over the plate. He threw it right over the plate. And Freeman just jacked it out of the field.
And also, it needs to be said, it needs to be said that, yes, he got Ohtani, which, by the way, here's the thing. If you're going to play the numbers at that point, Shohei Ohtani now, after that at-bat, 2 for 13 in his career against Nestor, right?
Yeah.
So Nestor faces Ohtani well. But then you intentionally walk Mookie. Mookie is 0 for 5 in his career against Nestor. You know who is now 3 for 5 in his career against Nestor? Who has always seen the ball well out of his hand? Freddie Freeman. So if you're going to play the numbers, play the numbers. If you're going to go with your gut, or if you have a feeling, go with your feelings. You can't mix and match. You can't.
No.
Oh,
I'm going to say this to you. I'm going to say this to you, and this will be a perfect transition to football. All right. When I say go with my gut, Ray, it's not a hope.
Right.
So Aaron Boone was hoping he could get this moment.
Get the 2 out.
All right. And look, to be fair, if you play it out and he does get the 2 outs, yeah, great. All right. Everything's wonderful. The Yankees are back. All right.
Different discussion.
All right. Yeah. Well, I wouldn't be saying it was a brilliant move. I would have been saying it's a gutsy move. Okay. But here's the deal. I don't deal in hope. Just going back to that, when I looked at that player on the bench, I saw he was ready to score a goal. I felt this guy's going to score. It wasn't the story that hadn't played a shift. It was looking at the game. Everybody's tired. This guy's ready to play. He's a big dude. He's going to go out there and score. All right. I felt it. All right. I wasn't hoping he would score. All right. That's the roller coaster we ride as coaches and GMs sometimes. You got to go with your gut. Like not going and giving the football to your best player in the Super Bowl on the goal line. But speaking of hope, we had an unbelievable finish to a football game yesterday. My brother was at the game, Ray.
Wow.
All right, in Washington. The Commanders, we're switching the NFL.
Yeah, winning on what they're calling the Hail Maryland. The Hail Mary.
It was, have you ever seen anything like, there's so much that went into this play. I do want to start here if that's okay with you, Ray.
Absolutely.
All right, look, we're not going to go over the whole game. The whole point is this. Bears, Commanders, Hail Mary situation. You got a Bears player taunting the Washington fans. And then that player tips the football and it drops in
instead
their
of
hands.
knocking it down, and he bats it up so that the Washington player, Noah Brown, can make the catch in the end zone. Yeah,
Ray, I'm a huge believer in karma. I really am.
Instant karma. This is instant karma.
Instant karma. I'm a huge believer of do not, this is how I say it.
Don't not the bear.
Don't tempt the gods. Again, look, on another show we can go deeper in this. I really do have a strange belief of the gods, okay? Yeah. Whether the real gods or not. Yeah. Do not tempt the gods. I'm going to tell you this, Ray. Every time, in my memory, I say something like, well, this could happen, the bad thing happens. Or anytime I taunt another team, the bad thing happens. Anytime someone says shut out on the bench, the shutout goes away.
Yep.
Keep your mouth shut. Stay in the present moment and do not tempt the gods. They're listening.
Yes.
This guy tempted the gods. One in a billion play for it to be him.
Oh, for
tipped
sure.
it. And again, didn't even tip it correctly.
No. He tipped it up. You never tip it up.
Into the waiting arms.
The first thing they tell you when covering a Hail Mary is knock the ball down.
If he didn't touch it, the game was over.
That's also, he could have just not touched it.
So the Commanders given a gift in a game that, honestly, as an Eagles fan, I wanted them to lose. But just for that moment and the way that played out, I'm like, wow, that was a gift.
Washington should have lost that game. I mean, the Bears played a better game. The Bears also, them too, they tried to get cute. They should have had another touchdown. You rewind earlier in that fourth quarter. They're like, we're going to bring in our defensive tackle. We're going to harken back to 1985. Hey, big fella, here you go. Play fullback. I'm going to hand it to you. And then you know what happens to a guy who's not used to handling the ball? He fumbled it at the 1 yard line.
Yep. Just bad decisions.
Don't get cute. Don't get cute. And the Bears got too cute in the fourth quarter. They didn't deserve to win that game. And they found a way. They found a new way to lose it. By the way, the Bears 4-3 now, 4-0 at Soldier Field, 0-3 on the road.
Yeah, it's not good. Well, and I'll say this too. It really makes the NFC East interesting now. The Eagles and the Commanders now getting some breathing room from the Cowboys and the Giants. The Giants we expected. The Cowboys, not only are they in a bad spot, Ray, but their schedule is only going to get harder here the next few weeks.
They have, until Thanksgiving, they have 4 winning teams in a row. They are going to have to run. They have a gauntlet coming up after losing last night to San Francisco. By the way, San Francisco almost blowing another big lead, but they held on, possibly keeping their season alive.
Yeah.
As the Niners improved to 4-4, Cowboys dropped to 3-4. And if you're looking for a wild card in the NFC, Dallas, you are behind the 8 ball, because now with the Vikings at 5-2, the Eagles at 5-2, the Packers at 6-2, and the Cowboys at 3-4. Ooh,
3-4, and the next 4 opponents: the Falcons, the Eagles, the Texans, and the Commanders before they get to the Giants. And then the schedule starts to get a little easier, but not really.
Yeah. But you've got 3 division winners and the Eagles, who are right now the top wild card, all in a row.
And are looking great. And are looking like they are alive and well.
Yep. The Falcons are playing great ball right now. Like, Kirk Cousins has a renaissance in Atlanta. Who saw that coming? Not me. I'll admit that. Not me.
Yeah.
It's
and the Eagles have the Jags next week.
Oh, the Commanders next week. Well, the Giants are playing tonight. We had no Giant rant today because the Giants are on Monday Night Football. But let me. I'm going to use my crystal ball here, and I'm going to pretend like, the Giants lose again. The Giants sucked and they blew it. They blew it again because it's prime time. It's Daniel Jones. They're not going to beat the Steelers. The Steelers are a good team, and they're in Pittsburgh. It's not happening. But Giants Commanders next week, so the Commanders should also probably win that game again. Although the Giants always play Washington well, but need to mention a lot of losers yesterday in the NFL, obviously. But obviously half the teams lose. But I mean, you've got a lot of teams now. By my count, there are probably 5 teams that could have top 5 picks, and that all are going to need a quarterback, including the Giants. And if I'm the Giants, I mean, the worst thing is the Jets blew another game because, again, the Jets are the Jets. The Jets, who have a chance to start turning their season around and decide instead to lose to the 1-6 Patriots, pretty much ending their season in every way. The Jets are now solidly in last place. The Patriots have the tiebreaker, so they're both 2-6 Patriots. The Jets are in last place, I believe. And you have the Jets who are going to need a quarterback. You have, let me pull up the standings here. You got the Titans who are going to probably want a quarterback. NFL standings, because I can't remember all the bad teams.
In that costume, that was really fun.
Thank you. The Raiders are going to need a quarterback. The Jets are going to need a quarterback. The Browns might want a quarterback. The Titans are going to want a quarterback. And then, of course, you got the Giants who are going to need a quarterback. And
there's not enough quarterbacks.
Well, that's what I've said. And that's what I'm going to get to. Carson Beck, Shedeur Sanders, Quinn Ewers, and Milroe out of Alabama. You've got 4, in my opinion, 4 quarterbacks worthy of being in the top 10.
Whoa. I'm sure Duke has a quarterback ready for the draft. All right? And if they've got a quarterback, I know who might want them. Because Duke wears blue. Your G-men wear blue. That had to have been the logic for Daniel Jones.
Private Elias, we do not want a quarterback out of Duke. Are you kidding me? Even though Sergeant Slaughter's from North Carolina, from Paris Island, we do not want another damn quarterback out of damn Duke.
So this isn't a big moment, right? Since the moment Daniel Jones was drafted, we didn't know it, but that was done for this moment on this podcast. So you could be Sergeant Slaughter complaining about him in that fashion. So the book's closed. Ray, I'm looking at the schedule here. Your Super Bowl is coming up on November 10th at 7:30 a.m.
Oh, well, we play.
You go into Munich to play the 1-7 Panthers, the 1-7 today. That's your Super Bowl. That is your Super Bowl this year. Because there is something funny about when you're really bad, sending you to Germany to play against another team that's doing really bad. It's like punishment. Are we punishing Germany? Is this still leftover?
We're
punishment?
Always punishing Germany.
Oh, you guys want an NFL game? We're going to give you the 2 worst teams we can find. And we're not going to send the Jets because we know there's some Jets fans over there.
Well, because I think they already had the Jets in England, so they already had.
There you go.
Or whatever, but yeah.
You guys invented BMW. Will allow you not to have the Jets. There we go. This is a jet company. My God.
Hey. Yeah. No.
Punishing Germany. This is punishment. This is not right. That's not right.
This was part of the treaty following World War II. That 80 years after the fact is that they would have to continue being punished by seeing the worst American football.
Oh, you want American football? We're going to send you horrible American football.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a joke. It's a joke. There's no other way to put it. The Giants are going to be terrible.
Well, you do have the Commanders next week. So we'll see. That could be a spoiler situation if you guys show up.
Yes. We played them very well early in the season, even though we lost that game by a last-second field goal. But it just it's again, I've said it before. I'll say it again. As long as Daniel Jones is our quarterback, we're not going anywhere. It's Dave Brown 2.0.
Yeah.
It was when we drafted him. I've been saying this for 6 years. You never draft a quarterback out of Duke. You don't do it.
Don't do it.
So, a couple other interesting things. We mentioned the Hail Mary. I want to talk about this. Last week, Lions versus Vikings. This was last week. The Lions did something interesting. The Vikings had a chance for a last-second Hail Mary, and the Lions did an overload blitz, which is where you put more guys on one side of the line than you can typically block because there's only allowed to be 5 offensive linemen, right? If you don't have tight ends or anything there else. And obviously with a Hail Mary situation, you got all your receivers out wide because you're sending everybody deep. The Lions did an overload blitz, sacked Darnold, never got the Hail Mary off. The Texans did the exact same thing yesterday. Again, NFL's a copycat league against the Colts. The Colts never got the interception, never got the Hail Mary off. Boy, oh boy, do the Bears, we'll get to the Browns in a second. The Bears wish they had copied the Lions. I think this is going to be a new thing going forward. I think teams that are smart, I think you're going to start seeing overload blitzes on Hail Marys. You're going to put 5 guys on one side of the line. You're going to send 6 guys back to cover the Hail Mary. And I think you're going to see guys, because there has to be time for the receivers to get downfield. And if you can overload that line, you, in theory, because remember, Jaden Daniels had 13 seconds yesterday before he let that ball go. That is an eternity in the NFL, right? And the Bears only rushed 4. 5 guys able to push 4 guys around. Mind you, it shouldn't have been. Jaden Daniels helped a lot by scrambling. But if you put 6 guys or 5 guys on one side of the line, you're not going to get 13 seconds to let all your receivers get downfield. The Lions started something last week. The Texans also did it this week. 2 for 2 on the overload blitz. Lee, are we going to see a change now? Now do offenses now have to start planning for this on the Hail Mary attempt? Are we seeing a possible stratagem change in football a little bit?
Possibly. Look, it's still a very low percentage play.
Absolutely.
So I don't think too much time is going to be spent on it.
If you bat the ball up, the percentage goes away.
Yeah, that was dumb. I think more, Ray, going back to your point in baseball, this is more about fundamental football, making sure that, above all, if I'm a coach, don't put us in that position. We don't even want to be in a position where a Hail Mary is possible. That's my first note.
And that's also got to give credit to Jaden Daniels in Washington for getting a 20-yard chunk play the play before to even set up the Hail Mary.
Right. So that's the first thing I'm saying is we got to win this game within the 4 quarters, not the last second of the game. That doesn't make any sense. The second thing that I'd be saying is that we need to make sure that we're aware of that play, but we're not stupid with that play, if that makes sense. Right. So again, for football players out there, it is such a low percentage play. I would not be too worried about it. And I would think that, again, as a coach, what I'm telling my team is we don't lose this game in the last second. We lost this game over the 4 quarters.
Absolutely. I'm still here. Just
I did an excellent job of elongating the answer.
I appreciate the vamping. I'm still here. The camera just decided to be like, I'm done.
Yeah.
I've had it.
Well, you yell at it every week, and this week you're in Sergeant Slaughter costume. The camera's probably terrified.
Camera couldn't handle it.
All right, my camera's looking at this 40-year-old greatness. Your camera's being yelled at by a mustache-looking Freddie Mercury kind of. No, you look like Sergeant Slaughter, but you do have a little Freddie Mercury today. Can you go, Dale?
Dale.
That was the most in tune I've ever heard you, even though it was flat. I'll let you have it.
Yeah. It was okay. It was meh. But anyway, yeah. So also,
now I can't unsee the Freddie Mercury thing now that I said it. You look like Sergeant Slaughter.
I guess it's better than Farva. I guess
it is better than Farva. But listen.
Yeah.
I mean, wait, hold on, real quick. This is Geeks Who Like Sports. Freddie Mercury and Sergeant Slaughter. Now I'm starting to wonder what There's differences, but I mean, there's some crossover there.
Is there?
I think so, right? You have
I mean, they both like fat bottom girls, right? Like, I mean, so like,
sure. Take the head off real quick. Just take the head off real quick.
Well, now I got head hair.
Don't worry. At least you have hair, buddy. You look like this is Freddie Mercury now. That's all it is. That's the only difference. He's the greatest vocalist in the history of music. It's a compliment.
Sure,
it's
but I am not the greatest. I am not the greatest. I am not a great.
You're really bad.
I am not an okay.
No. You're so bad that it's good. If that makes sense.
It's got to be. Yeah. I got to say it. Sergeant.
You are.
Let's not
like them film the room for singing.
Yeah.
It's so dumb. It's brilliant.
It's so dumb.
It's so dumb.
It's just so dumb. Anyway. A couple other things around the NFL. The Browns should never, even when he gets healthy, the Browns should never play Deshaun Watson ever again. This is what a lot of folks expected this earlier in the year. Jameis Winston, though, now because of injury, forced in there. And holy cow, look at that. A decent quarterback in the Browns offense suddenly starts clicking. Amazing. The Browns upset the Ravens in a huge way. The Ravens fall to 5-3, and again, depending on what the Steelers, they probably win tonight. The Steelers win tonight; they'll give them a full game lead in the AFC North. And the Browns, their season's probably done at 2-6, but that's another team that might be looking at a quarterback. But the Browns not only have spoiler potential with Jameis Winston at the helm because that's a team that likes play. Because Jameis Winston, he's an average quarterback, but he seems to be a good dude. Deshaun Watson, a below-average quarterback at this point in his career, and a bad dude. I get that. Look, as in the typical Cleveland fashion, you gave one of the worst human beings in NFL history, and that's saying something. He's not the worst. There's definitely been worse. But Deshaun Watson is a scumbag, and you gave him all this money, and now this scumbag is starting over a guy who can help you win games. The general manager for the Browns should be fired. Deshaun Watson, I don't care how much dead cap space is, should be cut. Should never be allowed to play again. And Jameis Winston should be your quarterback going forward. It's my thoughts. Lee?
I'm trying to think of comparisons. I think, tell me if I'm unfair here, Ray. The last time something like this happened was probably Randy Moss going to the Patriots. But you had some other things. First off, Randy Moss is not as bad as people think he is. Second of all, you had Bill Belichick.
No, Randy Moss was not like Deshaun Watson.
No, he's not. But I'm saying that guy got in line real quick. Right?
Randy Moss was a diva. He wasn't a bad dude. He was a diva.
It's true.
That's a difference than what Deshaun Watson was doing.
Yeah. Well, I don't know why they can't make good decisions out there, but it's again part of the culture.
I guess Cleveland just really loves to lose, right? Baseball, football, basketball. You don't have hockey. But even if
they have the Barons. They have the AHL Barons.
Sure. I mean, but the closest team is Columbus, and they love to lose too. So Ohio, a bastion of losers. Anyway, I mean, it's the truth. What do you want from me? The Cincinnati,
Ohio. We want to hear
Cincinnati.
From you. We want to hear from Ohio.
Cincinnati. The last time they won anything was Cincinnati won anything was 1990 in baseball, right? Then too, they have no basketball, they have no hockey, and the football team never won anything. So yeah. So I mean, look, I'm sorry, Ohio, but you have one NBA championship and you have one World Series in my.
They are college sports
across the whole state,
across
Cincinnati and Cleveland, your two biggest cities across the whole state. You suck.
That's why they're a college sports
town. Yeah, they're okay, sure, college sports.
No, I'm saying that's why they're a college sports town because those teams win.
Yeah, because that's all they have.
Right.
That's all they have is college sports.
Okay, now that we've thoroughly pissed off Ohio.
Well, I don't care. Whatever.
Nobody else does either.
Well, that's the thing. Is like here's the thing. I'm just still a little not even salty, but I just want to continue to remind like all those Cleveland fans those Guardian fans who were so cocky during the ALCS that even if the Yankees lose the World Series, we still beat you.
It's going to be
again.
It's going to be an awkward conversation when we get canceled because you were yelling at Ohio, which was the first state to secede from the Union in the upcoming Civil War, and you did it in Sergeant Slaughter attire, and they're gonna bring it back to that moment of like, I got canceled because I started the second Civil War by insulting Ohio sports teams in a Sergeant Slaughter costume.
If that's my legacy, so be it.
If that's your legacy, we did it. We did it. We did it. We accomplished it. Nobody expects Ohio. The
historians will go back. Nobody expects the Spanish.
That's exactly. Nobody expects Cincinnati.
Oh man, the historians in 23 will go back and be like, well, the second Civil War started when Ray Carsillo Jr. dressed as a fictional character named Sergeant Slaughter insulted the state of Ohio. And Ohio so butthurt over it because even though he was speaking facts, could not handle that they are a state full of losers.
I am so happy.
Absolute professional losers.
That in 100 years, we've gone back to the transatlantic accent. That is the best part of this entire thing. In 100 years, everyone speaks like this.
We realize that this is the superior way to speak, and therefore we have gone back to the transatlantic accent.
Welcome to episode 4671 of Geeks Who Like Sports. I'm Elias Jr., and this is Raymond Armadillo. We've changed our name to hide from the innocent after my great-great-great-great-grandfather started the Second Civil War.
Yeah.
His last request was to bring back this accent.
Oh, good. And they're gonna have a picture of me.
That old-timey picture.
Yeah, it's gonna be me. That's my voice.
Choose your destructor. The traveler has come.
What did you do, Ray?
What did you do, Ray? I tried to think of something my great-great-great-great-grandfather. Somebody who could have heard this. You didn't know your great-great-great-grandfather. He was a maniac.
All right. He thought he was Sergeant Slaughter.
Why is Freddie Mercury up there starting the Civil War? What's going on here? All right, we should move on. Is this a geek transfer? Did we do it?
Real quickly, before we move into the geek stuff, just want to also mention, we talked about this briefly last night. I thought this was a weird story. We've been talking about coaching a lot on the show.
Oh, yeah, this is we do have to talk about this.
Yeah, this was a really interesting story. With the Indiana Fever's coach being fired yesterday, which makes no sense because they turned it around. They obviously have Caitlin Clark now. I wonder if I don't think so because she doesn't seem like this. She doesn't seem like a Jordan who would have probably called for this. But the Indiana Fever, who made the playoffs this year, their coach got fired. That makes six of the 12 WNBA teams have fired their head coach in the offseason now. And if you count now, we have an expansion team coming next year in the Golden State Valkyries. That means there will be 7 new head coaches in the league next year.
Great name, by the way.
Lee, what are your thoughts on this?
I don't think Caitlin Clark is that innocent, first off. I think she is a warrior. I think she's a competitor. And I think that while I do appreciate her kill with kindness approach, you don't become that competitive a basketball player by being nice. So
you think behind the scenes she might have had some machinations going on?
I think it's possible. I think what I'm going to say is this, is that she's a certain type of player, and that type of player knows what type of coach they want, and she is in a position where she can pick and choose who's coaching that team. So I don't know if they had a conversation with her or somebody said, we need to get this coach who likes her. I also am very interested right across the board to see who the replacement coaches are. The WNBA is now big business. Yep. They've attracted a lot more people to the league, which means, and I'm not saying this in a disrespectful way, high caliber coaches that probably were not interested prior are probably interested now. You have a lot of talented collegiate coaches that would love to make the jump to professional basketball. You also probably have professional coaches, and I'm talking NBA, that would not love to make the jump to the WNBA. So I don't know if this is so much, hey, you did a bad job, as it is, look, we've got this person available, right? And again, who would not want to coach the Indiana Fever right now? You have a generational player talent on this team.
Yeah, that is a prime job. Yeah.
Right. So I think it's brutal for the coach that she was fired. Okay. But I don't think this is an innocent thing. I think there's a lot of business going on here behind the scenes. I think you're about to see certain people step up to the plate or the court, if you will. And again, I think Caitlin Clark, I think she's a great person. Don't get me wrong, but she's a competitor, right? And if I'm Caitlin Clark, I'm saying this is who I want. This is what we need. All right. I don't think she would have said fire this person.
Sure.
But I think they would say, look, LeBron does this. LeBron does this all the time.
LeBron does it all the time.
Yeah, and he can. All right. He's not always right, to be fair, but he can do it all the time.
That's also true.
All right. Michael Jordan said, I will not play for anybody other than Phil Jackson. And he didn't, except for the Wizards. But that's a different story. All right.
Yeah.
And he owned the team. So you could do whatever you want there, too. So he literally could pick the coach on that team. So I'm saying that, I don't think this is abnormal. I think this is power plays happening behind the scenes. I'm interested to see what happens, though. I'm looking at player movement too.
I'm very curious to see how this all plays out. But it's like you said, the league is getting bigger. The league is becoming more of a prime time thing. I mean, again, you're going to have another team next year as it starts to aggressively expand. And
well, they got swept in the playoffs too, right? I mean, you can make that argument easily. You didn't get the job done.
Yeah, no, for sure. But I mean, it's interesting to see. It's definitely interesting to see how the league is already changing in a lot of ways. So, you know what else is having a lot of changes in this week? The cast of Agatha All Along, because people are dropping left and right.
Yes.
And also a lot of theories have come to fruition.
Yes.
After 7 episodes, the season, I don't say series, but season finale, probably series. Season finale this week, 2 parts on Mischief Night. We'll have a full breakdown next week. But Lee, Death's Hand in Mind, the 7th episode of Agatha All Along. We knew it was probably coming. It's Lilia's trial, basically. Played phenomenally by I mean, everybody did a fantastic job. But Patti LuPone as Lilia was unbelievable. This was Marvel's take on Memento. It is a story told non-linear, not with non-linear aspects across all different time periods. And you also see that they've been building to this moment all along, and that it basically finally comes together. Everything's been explained. All of Lilia's flashbacks are now explained, and they make such beautiful sense. This is just the writing in this series so far has to be applauded. It's been phenomenally written. Again, Patti LuPone should win an Emmy, I think, for this. If Catherine Hahn doesn't, there should be, just give them all the awards. Give these ladies all the awards. But yeah, Lilia flashing back throughout her entire life, this entire episode, we finally get everything explained, and then we get the noble sacrifice at the end to allow the coven to continue. And then Lilia just finally realizing, I loved being a witch. Lee, I teared up at this episode. I'm not gonna lie.
You did, huh?
I'm not gonna lie.
I'm gonna make a bold claim, right? I think this might be the single best episode of television Marvel's ever produced. I can't think of a better episode than Marvel has produced. Keep in mind, when I say Marvel, I'm not talking Disney. I'm talking Marvel. All right, I think Marvel, Star Wars has done good stuff too, but this is the best MCU show episode ever. Am I wrong?
I don't think so. We talked about this before. I mean, there are some great moments in Marvel TV. Again, I really loved Vision talking to Vision, right? In WandaVision, where
that's a great moment.
The Theseus ship. There are some great moments, but entire episode from start to end, I was on the edge of my seat every single second. And that doesn't even include the final reveal at the end or towards the end, which we're going to get to in a second. But this was brilliantly written, amazingly acted. The symbolism here, just everything is just coming together so perfectly. This, again, my only thing is, we've talked about this and again, you can go back and watch, folks. Lee and I really liked She-Hulk until the end. They did not stick the landing. If Agatha sticks the landing, this will be the best Marvel show,
Easily.
period.
Easily. It easily will be. And you're right. You and I were enjoying She-Hulk until they went off the rails. Until they started treating men stupid. I didn't appreciate that when watching that show. It got a little overboard with me, in my opinion. Keeping in mind, too, that's been done to women for hundreds of years. I know that. But I'm saying it wasn't.
We get it.
It didn't make sense the way they did that.
You can make the joke and the criticism, and there's better ways to do it.
Right. Now,
there were smarter ways to do it.
With this show, with this specific episode, we got to say it. First off, the writing was insane. I mean, it is so hard to write a show in a timepiece like this where you're going back and forth to have it make sense. It made sense. They didn't lose us at all. All right, I've already started seeing fan cuts of it in order. It made more sense out of order. All right. The second thing is the acting was perfect. I mean, you're right when you said they should win Emmys for this episode, 100%. Patti LuPone, who is a well-known actress and theater person.
I mean, one of the best Broadway actresses of the last generation. Like from Anything Goes to Gypsy to absolutely.
Yeah, she was unbelievable. And then the piecing this together, it's Memento. It's very Doctor Who. This was exquisite television, the way that they did this. All right, and I'm going to say it again. The payoff at the end was beautiful. It's very hard to write an ending like that where you leave feeling satisfied, right? And you felt satisfied, and then and thankfully to the writers, they gave that little nod of Lilia at the end, like going back to being a young girl, and that the time is not linear, right? She's still alive out there all the time, which we can dive into the thought process behind that another time because I actually have thoughts on that.
And if anything, now that she's accepted when she'll die, there's the theory that she'll actually live a better life now.
Yeah.
And some folks are like, well, it's an alternate universe. No, it's not necessarily. She'll just have a different attitude.
Yeah, at different points of her life. It depends when she's doing it. And like I said, I actually have theories on time, and that time is how we measure our lives. But there might be other measurements out there. You can go watch Interstellar if you want more on that. But it was a brilliant episode. Let's get to the reveal at the end because this is big. This is huge for Marvel. It has massive implications. I will also say that it justifies actions that this person has taken throughout the show so far, meaning that she tells the truth, right? Like this is we have a God level person now, in the show.
Yeah, it's a cosmic being.
Yes, very, very powerful. Okay.
Yeah, and we also have to just briefly mention: not only does Lilia die at the end of this, but she also takes out the Salem 7.
Yeah.
It's again that's the noble sacrifice.
Well, we think. I mean, again, they were dead already. So
we think the director Jack Schaefer has basically said that none of when people die in this show, people die.
Yeah, I don't know if I buy that 100% yet, but yes,
sure.
It looks like they're.
But
dead.
if it is, it's because Rio Vidal, Aubrey Plaza, has been confirmed and has finally revealed herself as Lady Death.
Lady Death. For those of you listening who do not know who this is, to give you an idea of Lady Death's power, Thanos was in love with her. And Thanos is dead.
In the comics, the reason why he kills half the universe
is to impress her.
To please her. And the funny thing is that she also has a relationship with Deadpool.
A big relationship with Deadpool. Yeah.
Big relationship. Because Deadpool technically is kind of immortal.
Yeah.
So she kind of loves Deadpool. Like Thanos loves Death because he can never have her, and Death loves Deadpool because she can never have him.
Well, and if I'm not
Deadpool
mistaken,
in a weird way also loves her.
When I guess spoiler in the comics, when Deadpool does actually die, she's there.
He sees her briefly.
Yeah. So again, this is far into the future, and I wouldn't say it's canon. It's just far into the future. Deadpool does eventually die, right? So Interesting. Now, what this means is that when she said to Agatha, "He's not your son," now which we know, but that she was telling the truth, and we now know why Agatha believes her right away. We also know how powerful Agatha is. Agatha has a relationship with Death. That's massive, right? That's a massive thing that's happening there. Not to mention too that it also explains why Rio is carefree. She's a god. Nothing's going to happen to her, and she knows it. Now, the reason why I said that I don't know if I fully believe that everyone's dead, I'll start with this. I kind of hope they are because I think that makes for better storytelling. But
Absolutely.
Death can do whatever
Stakes.
she wants. She could bring them back. I mean,
Yeah.
and again, the Salem 7 were dead. So I don't like. Oh, they're dead. Well, they were already dead. So I don't know if
I don't know. Were they dead? I don't think they were dead.
I don't know.
I don't think they were dead.
I'm saying
their parents were dead, and then they went feral.
So this is what I'll say. I hope that they are dead because they do complete justice to that episode to get them out of the way. Yes. Also revealing that there's another villain, obviously, right? Because they were the red herring.
Death is probably the real threat here. I mean, there's going to be, and they've already hinted at. Remember, Lilia says that like when she throws the house at you or something, duck, or she says you're a coward, duck, right? Yeah. Like that's hinting at obviously there's going to be a big old battle coming up between Death and Agatha.
It also means that she's there in some form, right? So there's a lot of things going on here that we don't understand yet, but I do believe that the Salem 7 were a red herring now. Death is the real villain. Yes. And remember, in the first episode of the first weekend, first episodes, Death had come for Agatha. Now, that's what we know now. It wasn't Rio coming to kill her out of spite. It was Death coming for Agatha, and Agatha saying, you want me without my power? That scene has a lot more stuff in it now, right?
Yes.
And then you've got, I'm still going to call him Teen, but you got Billy's there. Like, there's a lot going on here. And they talked about the Scarlet Witch. So I don't know what's going to happen. And I'm saying that there's stuff all over the place here. This show, man, Ray, I'll pose this as a question. It's positioned itself to have one of two endings, both which will be good. But one of them is there's a larger MCU implication here, massive implication. Or the other is that it's just going to kind of come back to Agatha and her storyline and whatever eventuality comes from her. Which one of those do you want? And I don't think it can be both, if you know what I'm trying to say.
I think that Billy is going to kill Agatha to bring back Tommy.
Yeah.
That's what I think is going to happen. I think that Billy is going to strike a deal with Death. Excuse me.
You're emotional about this, Ray. I can see. I'm just kidding.
No. I think that Billy is going to sacrifice Agatha to bring back Tommy and or Wanda. But I think specifically Tommy's always been his goal. Again, this is building, I think, to Young Avengers. I think that that's what's going to happen. I think that there's going to be a big battle. There's going to be a big fight. And Billy is going to basically strike a deal with the devil, Mephisto. And that's how they're going to get Tommy back. And I think that's going to get rid of Agatha.
So I think if we go down that road, when they get to the end of the road, Agatha will want to be with her son. And that might,
and maybe that too. That might be it too.
But that's how it might happen. Is Billy takes her out so she can be with her son in the afterlife, along with all the characters who we will see at the end, happily and wherever. Right now, what does Death want at the end of the road, or does that even apply to her? I don't know.
I don't think it does. I think she's just. I think she's just along to collect the bodies.
Yeah.
Like they said in Alice's episode, like she's just there to get her bodies.
Yeah, interesting.
And she knows that wherever Agatha goes, Death follows.
Yeah.
Quite literally.
They said that. It's a good point, Ray. It's interesting. They've set themselves up. This is kind of the penultimate episode that we just saw, I think. And the last two will probably.
It's great that they're going to put the two. I think it's a great thing they're going to do the last two episodes in one night.
Absolutely. We got to give the writers. Look, Marvel writers have figured it out. You have figured out how to do episodic television in a way that's not dragging us along. Star Wars, please take note. And then on top of it, you have made WandaVision better, which we talked about before the show that was possible. I remember we were very, very cautious of like, I don't know if they can do that, but they have done it.
Yeah. No, absolutely. I mean, it's like Mandalorian making other aspects of Star Wars better, right?
Yeah.
Like it's they found ways to do this through these series, and Agatha has been the first in Marvel to really enhance a lot of what's going on around them.
And people might ask, right, like, well, how it's already done, how can it be better? Because when you know certain things, the stakes are higher in different shows. Like if you watch if you watch WandaVision, now knowing about Agatha, it's a very different show.
100%.
Because the villain's always 100%. There, and you don't realize it until it's pretty cool. That was the problem with it to begin with, was that I remember when that show was on, we kind of assumed that Agnes might be Agatha, but there was no villain. You just didn't know what was going on. And now when you watch that knowing she's there, it's like, watch out. It's a totally different show.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a theory going around. We're going to wrap this up that this isn't the witch's road. That this is actually all just another, much like with Wanda.
Yeah.
That the entire thing is a manifestation.
I like that theory
of from Billy and his latent powers. There's also a theory that Loki might be involved because of that, and that he might have touched upon, or at least that he's watching.
Right. Well,
because
of course he is.
underneath the road, we saw golden roots.
Yeah, that's true.
That looked very Loki-like, and that Lilia kind of hinted at that, like, there were hints there under the road that there's at least Loki might be watching. I think that that's more of a stretch, or that's just more of a nice thematic tie-in. But I really like the idea that this is all Billy constructing everything to the point where he even says, "Oh, the road is exactly as I imagined it." You know what I mean? That the door didn't open till Billy showed up. Because
that's true.
To the point where Billy's questioning Agatha's knowledge of the road, because maybe it's not like when Agatha walked the road, right? Because maybe this isn't the witch's road.
Yeah, that's right. So, that's a really good point. I'm gonna keep talking. I'm gonna keep talking.
It might be a little bit of a stretch, but this is a fan theory that has now crept up on the internet in the since last week's episode. I am really curious to see. Again, I cannot wait for the finale. We're about 48 hours away from the final 2 episodes. I do believe this is the witch's road. I don't want to believe that this is just all another WandaVision machination thing from Billy and latent powers, but it's an interesting thought. And again, Billy is actually more power by the end in the comics. He's more powerful than his mom. Billy is almost onto a cosmic level entity of Ton himself in terms of his ability to use magic and shape reality.
All right. So Ray, I'm watching. This is interesting. I'm watching the scene right now where they open the road. Right. Because I remembered it. Guess what color is emanating from the road?
It's blue.
Which
is his color.
It's exactly his color. And then when they go down the road, there's veins in there similar to the yellow ones, but they're blue.
That look like Loki roots.
Yeah, this is interesting. You might be onto something here.
And not to mention, I mean, even Lilia also kind of talks about how time is nonlinear.
Yeah.
And about her story's kind of already written. Well, of course her story's already written. Loki wrote it.
Right. I like this. I like where this is going. That could be a fun ending too. I mean, and again, look.
Yeah.
There's a lot of win endings here. All right. Hopefully they don't miss the landing, and I don't think that they will.
I don't think they will. I think they learned their lessons. I hope they learned their lessons. And we didn't even talk about the symbolism of all their costumes in the.
Yeah, that was brilliant too.
In the tarot room, the Lilia trial, with her as the good witch, which we always kind of knew, and how Jen kind of as the old hag costume from what was it, Sleeping Beauty or whatever, and then of course Teen as Maleficent,
beautiful,
who's just plain evil, and then of course Agatha as the Wicked Witch of the West, right? So, who, by the way, I love the comment that she's like, they based her on me.
That was brilliant.
Right. They did a great job with everything in this episode. Phenomenal. I can't wait to see how it ends. I love all the fan theories that are coming out.
It's good. This is being done right.
Yeah. You know what? We don't know if it's being done right as of yet, but it looks good so far. At least from the behind the scenes images that have leaked. The Amazon television show Spider-Man Noir, starring Nicolas Cage.
Yeah, Ray, I'm not.
Costume looks great.
Costume
looks great.
I sincerely hope this is excellent. I am very worried about this. Right?
Oh yeah,
because they nailed
100%.
it. They nailed it in the Spider-Verse series. I don't know if this transitions to live action so well. And
nope.
There's no evolution to this character. There's only uncovering of this character. So I get worried about, like, are we going to get an origin film, which we kind of already got? And it's like, he's a monotone. I hope this works. But it's like, this is them cashing in on more Spider-Man.
Yeah, I think this is going to be a miss. I don't think this is necessary.
It's not
Look,
necessary. And look,
no.
we all know Nicolas Cage will take any gig he gets. So it's like,
Yes.
I don't know if I love this one or not. Again, I'm going to say it again. I hope I'm wrong, but Amazon is very hit or miss with their television shows. And it's like, I don't know. I don't see a story here that's going to get me excited. And if it doesn't connect to the larger Spider-Verse, I don't know. I don't know how I feel about this one. I'm not against Spider-Man. I'm equally as concerned when I keep reading, oh, they're going to bring back Toby. They're going to make another. Guys, stop. You don't keep cashing in on this stuff. You made something brilliant. Yeah. Don't ruin it by making more. This is exactly what happened to Joker. And you and I said it. Do not make a sequel to Joker. Don't do it. Yeah. There's no way to do it. The movie was great. I think you're going to try something stupid, which they did, and it didn't work. All right? And it's like, don't mess with things if they're not broken. Like, first, here's one for you. Why don't you just finish the Miles Morales film and give us that?
Yes.
Before you start delaying that. Yeah. Why don't you finish that before you go on other side tangents here?
Because Sony is clueless. Yeah. They don't know what they're doing.
I mean, all of it. They're going to do another Wolverine Deadpool. They're going to do Wolverine and Spider-Man. They're going to do Deadpool. Shut up. Stop it. Stop it, please.
One step at a time.
I don't need another Wolverine and Deadpool. I don't need it. That was perfect. Don't screw it up.
No, I mean, if you want to do Spider-Man and the X-Men, but first, hey, you have to get the X-Men into the MCU. Yeah. Get the X-Men first in the MCU. Figure that out first. Figure that out.
Brutal.
First. Mutants. We need the mutants. One quick last thing kind of broke this morning. There are talks. We kind of knew this was happening. A lot of folks were clamoring for this. There were talks. It is official now. They are talking about, after the success of X-Men 97, of bringing back the animated Spider-Man cartoon from the 90s. Disney has confirmed they are discussing that. Possibly it is still in the early stages. But please do that. Please, that show was phenomenal. You kind of left it on a cliffhanger. It wasn't the best ending. You could do it. You could easily do. I don't even need a bunch. You give me one more season of that. Give me the old theme song. Be thrilled.
I would be fine with
thrilled. So again, kind of just talking with all the Spider-Man-esseness that was this morning, right before we started. That report came out that Disney is talking about it at the very least.
Yeah, well, okay, that's fine. I mean, we know it can work. So
yes, exactly. And again,
universe. Yeah.
Easily, they crossed over many times. In fact, we've already seen. The reason why this came up in fandom is we saw Spider-Man not only in the original series, but we also saw him again in X-Men 97. Yeah. He was there.
There's no reason not to do it. You could even introduce him in X-Men Season 2.
You could even just do a couple of X-Men episodes with him.
Yeah,
just focus on
that would be fine. Test it. Yeah.
If you didn't want to do the full season, just do a Spider-Man-esque episode, right? Like. Yeah, Spider-Man and the X-Men, that's classic.
Actually,
classic.
You know what? I'm sorry. The best Marvel TV show ever done was animated, and it was not the Sentinels episode. They won an Emmy, didn't it? So, up for one. Sure. But that was animated, so we'll separate them. Best live action ever by the MCU was Agatha All Along. Keep going.
Yes. Yeah, 100%. But that's going to do it for us here.
That's it?
On Geeks
That's all we had?
That's it. That's all we had.
Well, I hope you have a Sergeant Slaughter ending for this ready to go.
All right, that's it. At ease, disease. At ease, you can all rest now. The show's over. For Private Elias, I'm Sergeant Slaughter. Ray Carsillo saying good night. And we'll see you next time here on Geeks Who Like Sports. Like, share, subscribe, comment below. That's an order.